live here in the studios of WLCN 96.3. Our guest this morning is April Jensen, one of our very valued staff members at our local Lincoln Library. Tickled to have you aboard, April.
Thank you.
Anybody might have any questions or comments they want to make about our library, and or can't say anything bad about staff because we'll cut you off. 648-5510. 648-5510. If anybody has any comments at all to make. Judith Kay informed me during the break, golly, I forgot about it. Father's Day is coming up here next Sunday. And, by the by, tomorrow. This is the 13th, isn't it?
Flag Day.
Tomorrow is Flag Day.
And you can come into the library to find out more information about the history of both Father's Day and Flag Day.
There you go.
There you go.
Of course, I can tell you a lot of history about Father's Day. Anyway, nonetheless. Seriously, Flag Day tomorrow. Do your part. Get those flags out there. Judith Kay and I will have ours out, the 200 block on Peoria, and all the houses on Peoria Street in that 200 block will have flags flying, if not the large ones, the smaller ones along the sidewalk.
Well, the 300 block is pretty good,
too. And the 300 block did very well also, yes, last time. We got that, and the 4th of July coming up, and the first thing you know would be Labor Day. Wow. Wait. Go right ahead. I moved through the summer.
It just
Father's
shocks
Day.
me that it goes so quick.
Father's Day. You were going to make a comment.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I got a comment here on Father's Day. Now, Bill had a dad, Jim had a dad, April had a dad, I had
Well, mine's
a dad.
still around, so we'll have to say that.
Well, mine's past tense. Yeah, and so is Bill's. This was from the Elks magazine, but it was quotes about fathers from people whose names you'd easily recognize. For instance, Will Rogers Jr. said his heritage to his children wasn't words or possessions, but an unspoken treasure, the treasure of his example as a man and a father. Now, that's pretty
well
nice. Pretty good tribute. Mm-hmm. Abraham Lincoln said, "My father taught me to work. He did not teach me to love it." You don't have to love it. You just have to do it. My dad would agree with Abraham.
Amen.
I just owe almost everything to my own father. He brought me up to believe all the things that I do believe. And that from Margaret Thatcher, the Iron
Lady?
The Iron Lady. Mm-hmm. And Margaret Truman Daniel. Speaking of authors.
Yeah, I think we have all of her books.
Do you?
And,
Really?
oh,
They're good,
absolutely
too.
fascinating. I love them.
And the one thing that I noticed with her books, from the first to the last, the first one seemed to me to smack of a tour of fancy restaurants. And from there, they just got really suspenseful because they murder at, and then you fill in the blank, any building in Washington, D.C., and they're fascinating. Who'd have thought she'd have been, I knew she was a piano player, I didn't know she was an author.
Well, she wasn't much of a singer, according to the fellow Hume, who was Paul Hume, I think, was a music critic, and he's the one that President Truman threatened to punch in the nose.
Oh, really?
he said some unkind things.
Was offended.
That's right. It's just like you,
What did
right?
I tell you?
That's right.
See? I wasn't lying. Now, this is from Margaret Truman Daniel. "It's only when you grow up, only then, that you can measure his greatness and fully appreciate it." Now, her grandmother, her maternal grandmother, of course, had already grown up when she lived with them in the White House, and stuck to the fact. Her story was he'd never amount to anything, and she stuck to it. And here he was the president. And this is from Harmon Killebrew. Now, you may not recognize that name, but he was the catcher for the Twins, the Minnesota Twins baseball team.
I thought he was an outfielder.
And maybe he was.
Yeah, that's
First
what
base.
I thought.
Okay, so he played for the Twins. Holy Friday.
You can't get to first base, Judy.
Holy Friday.
Not on this show.
Anyway, they loved him in Minnesota, believe me. He said, "My father used to play with my brother and me in the yard. Mother would come out and say, 'You're tearing up the grass.' 'We're not raising grass,' Dad would reply. 'We're raising boys.'"
Oh, that brings home something.
How do you like that?
Well, when I was a kid on Lincoln Avenue, we had a double garage back there, and Mother had peonies around the And, of course, they became, they were victims of all the stomping and so forth. And she complained about that. My father's verbatim comment, well, now then you have to decide whether you want peanuts or peonies, peonies, or you want to know where your kids are. So, the wisdom of father. Now, we better get back to library science here.
Okay. I love to say about my dad.
Go right ahead. You are the guest today.
I got a wonderful gift from him, and it is a love of old movies. And when I mean old movies, I'm talking 20s through, black and white, silent
early
movies.
talkies?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I love old movies because of him. And we have a great selection at the Library of Movies on DVD. And we have old movies.
At the library, we do.
Yes, we do. And we have old movies. And Richard does a great job of keeping that collection and growing it. We have Metropolis, the 1929 German silent film that is technically brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And just Greta Garbo movies. We have Mae West. I mean, we have fabulous movies I've never heard of. And
these are on DVDs?
They're on DVDs. Mm-hmm. So you can come in and check them out for 2 weeks, and it's just absolutely wonderful to watch all these movies. And I'm grateful for my dad for teaching me how to love watching these movies.
That's neat.
Not happy that he made me watch Psycho when I was young, but that's a different story.
But you can forgive him for the other part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mae West famous comment, goodness had nothing to do with it, my dear. Now, you mentioned that's a big impact. That's a digital impact in our library. Mm-hmm. You also have computers available for the public. Mm-hmm. Now, the use of are those free, April?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's if you print anything out, it's 10 cents a page. But yeah, it's free. The adult libraries or the adult computers are in the Carnegie Building, and the children's library or the children's computers are in the Youth Services Building in the Annex.
Mm-hmm. The Carnegie Library that we have and enjoy here is such an architectural gem in the community. Yes. But let's go across the alley to a minute to this nice little great and rather large children's library.
Mm-hmm. Which is it's half, the Annex is half children's youth services, and the other half is adult fiction, mysteries, movies, audios, large print. We also have a large collection of large print books.
Now, on a given day, Ms. Jensen, can you walk in that library and find a bunch of youngsters on a given day?
During the summer, yes. There was unfortunately a program going on the other day, and an older woman came in, and she didn't expect to see all of these children. She says, "Oh my!" Mm-hmm. So, luckily they stay to one side, but it's still right before story time and right after story times. It can get kind of loud for a library.
Well, but that's a
good thing.
Not a bad trade-off.
No,
they're learning to love the library. They're learning to love to read. Mm-hmm. And if you can't read, you got a tough row to hoe.
Right.
And you've got this program where adults read to children in the library. We had that one time.
We did. And we don't really have it anymore. But that would be a nice program to have again. But we don't have that right now. So.
Yeah.
But one thing you do have that you mentioned early on that I thought was interesting. Somebody came in after Christmas and said, "I got this. How do you do this?" So you can really kind of like help them.
We try. They have to
work their Kindle.
We try to help them work their Kindle. We hopefully we're telling them the right information. So I did there was one gentleman, he came in and he said it wasn't working. He came back in a couple days later going, "Thank you, it works. This is great. I love it. I can download books." And so it's pretty nice.
Now, do you have a facility there, if I brought my iPad in or Kindle, that we can download something from your library onto those devices?
Not at the moment.
I wouldn't imagine that would be the case.
You need to have internet or Wi-Fi connection at home. And it's easier the first time you do it to do it on a regular computer. That way you can see everything and just take your time and read, and that's it. If you go to our website, lincolnpubliclibrary.org, there's a click on where you go to the link Library on the Go, and then that's our catalog for what you want to, for what we have in ebooks, and then you download either Overdrive for Kindles or
From your home?
yeah,
That's amazing.
ebooks. We have no idea what you check out for an ebook. It's completely private. So yeah, it goes through the computer. We get a printout at the end of the. We just know how many books were checked out.
You can put things other than novels on that, right? I hate to even admit this, but I am so technologically challenged that
Well, I don't
it's
think you're unique in
America.
that. There's a lot of people that aren't really into that yet.
I'm not. I don't have an e-reader. Would love one, but I don't have one. I don't need one.
I'll get you one for your birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But you can download on. There's the capability on Overdrive or a Library on the Go. You can download some videos, and there's some music, and there's also audiobooks as well. So, and then there's other databases that you can link to that have that information as well. So, and we're looking into other databases where you'll be able to use your library card and have access to magazines and more audiobooks, language classes, and so forth. It's just amazing the databases that are out there that we're looking into to expand what our patrons can get.
Now, if people are interested in genealogy, and there are a number out there who are.
We have a very good selection of genealogy.
Yes, I noticed you have. For instance, if you want to go back to Lincoln Career of the old days, you have a huge file.
We have, I think we have all of them. All
They're
the
all
old
on
ones.
film.
They're on microfilm.
And you can sit there and scroll through it and go back as far as you want.
Yep. And if you know the old Gothic German, and if you can read that, we have the link. There used to be a newspaper, and it was printed in Gothic German. If you can read that, you can come in and read those. We have them.
Now in Minnesota, they had the Koraposten, which was for the Norwegian people. And if you would subscribe, the person who was the salesman for these subscriptions would come with a box of eyeglasses. And you subscribe to the Koraposten, and then you can pick out the pair of glasses that work best for you out of the box, so that you could read the Koraposten when it came. Now, see, that's just a little factoid.
Those oofdas were smarter than we think.
And you got glasses besides. I want to ask you about these audio books. So many people who have to spend a lot of time in their car will have those. They can plug them in the car and listen while they're driving up and down. Now, how long a period is it that you can check them out, and what happens if you're going clear from here to Florida or Alaska or someplace?
Well, if you're going, everything you check out is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So,
okay.
2 weeks. If you are going to if you know you're going to be away for longer than 2 weeks, because you also get a week's grace period.
Yeah.
Just talk to us, and we can check it out for possibly longer. We don't really do that a lot, but if you know that you're going to be gone, we have a few truck drivers, and they come in and get a few audiobooks.
Oh, sure.
And they know that they're going to be on the road, and we take care of them.
That's really quite a nice thing for people. You mentioned the truck drivers.
And if you're going to be gone, if you're on vacation and you're an avid reader, you have books on hold, or you've requested books.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to be gone, we'll suspend that hold so we know it won't come in when you're on vacation, and you keep your place in line. So we like doing that, especially for all the snowbirds that leave. We'll suspend all their holds. That way they have all their holds. It all stays the same, and they know that they're not going to lose it when they're gone.
You just do all but stand on your head and spit nickels to please the public, don't you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
really.
if you come in a lot, we start treating you like family. So that's the downside, is that eventually you do get treated like family, and we start picking on you a little bit.
Oh, that's
and vice
no
versa. We get picked on a lot, but we don't mind that.
That's
like that.
no downside, my dear. No downside.
We tend to take the library for granted. Go by it every day or every week or whatever, and it's there. But the people who never availed themselves of the opportunity to go in and just stand there and look architecturally, and see what a pretty thing that is. And then beyond the physical beauty of the thing, it's a spin-off of what's in there and how it can impact the community.
And I mean, Richard has done a fabulous job of keeping the Carnegie Building and updating that and keeping it historically accurate. And this past winter, we have done the same to the Annex. We've remodeled the Annex, and we've gone through, we've painted it. We have a fabulous paint job on there, and we've revamped it, and it's completely renovated, and it looks absolutely amazing. And everybody should come in and just check out how the Annex looks. And and it just looks absolutely fabulous.
And incidentally, I want to go over just a minute to these things that you allude to. Don't just happen. You have a good working board.
We have a wonderful board,
and they're very integral to the success of what we do day in and day out there. So I think we would maybe tip our
definitely. We do have a wonderful board. We're very, very lucky and blessed in this town to have people that are dedicated to the library, and they want to make sure that we are exactly what the patrons want, and we're what this county or this city needs. So,
do you still have that service whereby people can check out art?
No, we used to, but all that art is now for sale. We are getting out of the framed art business.
Well,
so
I suppose you have to pick and choose. Now you're getting so high tech. You can't be everything to everyone, can you?
Right. So if there was a picture that you really liked, it's now for sale, and they are on sale at the Annex. So come in. Another reason to come into the Annex is come and check out our framed art, and you can walk away with it. Well, not walk away with it. Please pay for it.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, it just kind of occurs to me, and I don't know whether this, I'm correct in this or not, Judy, but it's kind of like the music man said, you got to know the territory. And I just wonder, as you saw, the territory, as you say.
Yeah.
I just wonder if this was just too small a community to have a checkout fine art.
At one time, there was a need for it, but that's just, our community changes, and Richard does an absolutely fabulous job of keeping on top of what we need and, growing our collection the way it needs to be grown, and he does an absolutely fabulous job. He's done a wonderful job in the last 20 years of making our library what it is.
We were lucky to have someone of his caliber, really, truly. Now, it's the Lincoln Public Library.
Right.
This is most certainly true. However, people who live outside of Lincoln for a fee that, all things considered, isn't too bad.
No, if you live outside of the our district, it is $82 for 1 year, but that's good for everybody in your household. And if you have children, I mean, how much can $82 for a library card?
That's not an expense.
It's not, and that is, we have not raised that in the last couple of years, and that's the average of what everybody pays in town. And
look on your tax bill that you just got.
Exactly. And if you get 2 John Grisham books a year, it pays for it, because those are over $30 each. So it's worth its weight in gold right there. Plus,
any book is not cheap.
Right.
If you can get a book for $27.99, you got a bargain.
Right.
Oh boy!
Exactly.
In the old days when I used to go to Chicago out in business matters, I always made a pilgrimage to Crocs and Brentano's bookstore up there, which was just a mecca of great books. And I always come home with some books. Well, not today. Number one, I'm not going there. Number two, I couldn't afford to buy lots of books like I used to do.
No.
Exactly. I mean, $82 is really nothing, and it's very well worth it, and so forth. Especially if you think of ebooks, and you get 3 a month. That's right there. You've paid for it.
Now that carousel that sits as you're looking out from your office and counter area, off to the left, that has the paperbacks.
Yeah, the paperback exchange.
Yeah, talk about that, because somebody in the library was telling me, I always come and use this. Tell how that works.
Paperback exchange, you don't need a library card for, and you bring in a library book, or not a library book, let me rephrase that. you bring in a paperback, and it can be a paperback fiction of any kind. Nora Roberts, Danielle Steele, Clive Klesser, Tom Clancy. If you bring in 5, then you can go over and get 5 out, and if you bring in 1, you can go get 1, and you don't have to check them out. You just walk over, pick them up, and walk out.
And then it's yours.
It's yours until you bring it back.
And then you can read it,
exchange
and
it
bring
some
it
more.
back,
Roll-
and get a
roll it
different
over.
one.
It's on the
Now,
honor
did you
system.
say fiction, or is it limited to fiction?
It's not limited to fiction, but
Primarily it is.
it's
I see.
99%
Yeah.
fiction. And we have so many donations for the paperback exchange, and it's incredibly huge. Since I've been there in the last 7 months, it's just kind of exploded. So we have a
Wow.
little bit of everything over there right now. So
Well, April, we appreciated very much your time that you've donated to us this morning.
thank you for having me.
I'm glad that Richard gave you a little time to come up here this morning. By the way, closing hours in the library during the summer?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're open from 9 until 5. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 until 7. And on Saturdays, we're open from 9 until 1.
And a quick aside, it's too bad, but the economics of the times have caused you to curtail the hours. Very unfortunate. It was not unusual for the library to be open until 9 o'clock of an evening in the
8
good,
o'clock.
quote, the good old days. Well,
Yeah.
they're long gone.
Yeah.
But we appreciate very much your coming with us and,
Well, thank
and
you.
talk us a little about Lincoln Library, April Jensen. Close today, it has to do with this says there are thousands of books in the library, but every time I go to get one, it's always out. Thank you very much, April Jensen.
Thank you.